The Houston Rockets rise from one of the NBA's most hopeless rebuilds into a team now considered a legitimate contender is one of the most fascinating basketball stories of recent years. The shift did not come overnight, nor did it happen by accident. It was the result of calculated moves, a cultural overhaul, and the bold decision to push chips to the center of the table by acquiring Kevin Durant, a two-time Finals MVP and one of the greatest scorers in basketball history. The Rockets went from a franchise winning barely 20 games a season to an organization positioned to challenge for championships, showing that a disciplined mix of development, leadership, and timing can rapidly change the fortunes of a team. At the heart of Houston's transformation is the impact of head coach Ime Udoka. When he was hired, the Rockets were in a tailspin. They had young talent, but no direction, no accountability, and little identity on the floor. Udoka's defensive-minded, no-nonsense approach instantly set the tone. In just his first season, Houston jumped to 41 wins, proving that progress was real and sustainable. He demanded toughness, responsibility, and attention to detail from his players, and the response from the roster was impressive. Young stars like Alperen Sengun and Amen Thompson flourished under his guidance, while the team established a defensive identity that made them one of the toughest matchups in the league. Udoka's ability to demand excellence without losing the locker room's respect was pivotal in setting the groundwork for what came next. Still, as Houston's playoff run showed, defensive grit alone is not enough to win in the postseason. Their matchup against the Golden State Warriors laid bare the offensive flaws that held the Rockets back from advancing deeper. The spacing issues, the inability to break down zone defenses, and the lack of a true closer all became painfully evident in a 7-game series where every possession mattered. Sengun, Van Vliet, and Jalen Green all struggled at critical moments, while turnovers and missed threes buried them when they most needed efficient execution. That loss wasn't simply about talent gaps, it was about experience, structure, and having a leader who could step into the fire when it mattered most. The front office recognized that shortcoming and made the boldest move of the offseason to fix it. Bringing in Kevin Durant is as much about symbolism as it is about on-court production. Durant represents proven championship DNA, a scorer who has excelled under the brightest lights, and a veteran presence who knows exactly what it takes to win at the highest level. At 36, he is no longer in his absolute prime, but his numbers remain elite. His ability to stretch defenses, dominate from mid-range, and force constant mismatches makes him a nightmare for opponents even now. For Houston, acquiring Durant without gutting their depth was a masterstroke. Losing Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks stings, but Durant's arrival raises the ceiling in ways that simply weren't possible with their previous core. He provides the closer they lacked, the scoring balance their offense desperately needed, and a leader who can take responsibility in late-game situations when defenses tighten. Durant's presence also creates ripple effects across the roster. Sengun, already an all-star, will benefit from the added spacing and defensive attention KD commands. With defenses forced to collapse on Durant, Sengun will find easier post touches, more room to operate as a playmaking hub, and increased opportunities to punish smaller defenders inside. Amen Thompson, a developing two-way force, will likewise thrive in a system where his slashing lanes are no longer clogged by defenders sagging off shaky shooters. The addition of Dorian Finney-Smith, a high-level floor spacer and versatile defender, further eases the offensive strain. Houston went from a bottom 10 half-court offense to one suddenly equipped with multiple 40% shooters and one of the greatest scorers of all time. This is not a subtle improvement, it is a transformation of identity. What makes the Rockets especially dangerous is that these changes have been layered on top of a team already anchored by elite defense. They were among the league's top units on that end last year, and with Finney-Smith, Clint Capela, and Durant joining the fold, they now have the personnel to switch, protect the rim, and harass opponents at the point of attack. Imagine a lineup featuring Thompson, Finney-Smith, Jabari Smith Jr., Durant, and Capela. The sheer length, versatility, and physicality of that group can smother opponents, force turnovers, and generate fast break opportunities. Udoka's schemes thrive when he has players capable of executing multiple defensive coverages, and now he has an arsenal of bodies suited for nearly any matchup. In a Western Conference stacked with scoring talent, having the ability to neutralize stars on any given night is a massive advantage. The stability provided by veterans like Fred VanVleet, Steven Adams, Jeff Green, and Aaron Holiday cannot be overlooked either. VanVleet in particular is the kind of steadying presence championship teams need. He doesn't have to dominate the ball in a Durant-led offense, but he remains a trusted decision maker who can hit big shots and defend at the guard position. Adams and Capela form a bruising interior duo, giving Houston unmatched rebounding strength and toughness inside. Role players like Jeff Green provide the kind of glue that ensures rotations don't collapse when starters rest. The fact that Houston was able to retain these veterans while still adding Durant and Finney-Smith demonstrates how carefully orchestrated their roster construction has been. Unlike other teams that mortgage everything for a superstar, the Rockets still boast depth, balance, and flexibility. One of the most intriguing aspects of Houston's future is the potential of Reed Sheppard. Drafted 3rd overall, his rookie season was inconsistent, but flashes of brilliance revealed why the organization is so high on him. His shooting, particularly when given the green light, fits perfectly alongside Houston's stars. Late season performances against playoff-bound opponents showed he can rise to the occasion, and his summer league dominance underscored his leadership qualities and ability to play with poise. For a Rockets team in need of consistent floor spacing, Sheppard's progression could be the X factor that turns them from a contender into a dominant force. Developing him alongside stars like Durant and Sengun allows Houston to balance the pursuit of immediate wins with the cultivation of long-term talent. It is rare to see a team rebuild this quickly without shortcuts. In 2021, Houston was a 17-win team with little reason for optimism. 3 seasons later, they are armed with one of the deepest rosters in the league, an elite defense, a superstar scorer, and a foundation of young talent still ascending. Their trajectory mirrors that of the Oklahoma City Thunder in some ways, but Houston has taken an even more aggressive path. Where OKC has hoarded assets and played the long game, the Rockets decided the time was now. By cashing in on their depth and flexibility for Durant, they made a statement to the league. They are no longer satisfied with progress, they are ready to contend. The Western Conference will not make this journey easy. Teams like Denver, Oklahoma City, and Golden State all present unique challenges, and playoff battles are won by execution as much as by talent. But Houston has put itself in the conversation, and in the NBA, that is all you can ask for. Once you are in position to compete, anything can happen. The Rockets have the personnel to adapt, the coach to keep them grounded, and now the superstar to carry them when the game slows down and half-court possessions decide the outcome. That combination is what makes them terrifying to the rest of the league. Durant's role will inevitably shift the balance of touches, and there will be adjustments. Sengun and VanVleet will see fewer opportunities, while Thompson and Jabari Smith Jr. will need to adapt to playing alongside a dominant scorer. But the trade-off is worthwhile, because having a player who consistently bends defenses and raises offensive efficiency is invaluable in the postseason. The equal opportunity style that worked in the regular season needed a closer, and now Houston has one of the best closers in basketball history. Their ability to blend that with the unselfishness Udoka has instilled will determine how quickly they mesh into a championship-level offense. Houston's decision to keep its culture intact while adding talent also matters. Udoka signed a long-term extension, showing his commitment to the project. The front office, led by Raphael Stone, managed to secure Durant while retaining critical veterans. Ownership gave the green light for bold moves, demonstrating their willingness to invest in winning. This alignment between coaching staff, front office, and ownership is rare, and it creates stability that many franchises lack. It ensures that the focus is entirely on basketball, growth, and maximizing the current roster. The Rockets' identity now blends grit with firepower. They can suffocate teams defensively, grind out wins, and then suddenly overwhelm opponents with Durant scoring and improved shooting around him. Their versatility is their greatest weapon. Few teams can throw out lineups capable of bruising opponents inside one possession, then spacing the floor with shooters and cutters the next. That adaptability allows them to adjust to any opponent, an essential trait in a playoff environment where matchups shift from game to game. Looking forward, the Rockets are positioned not only to contend next season, but to sustain success for years. Their young stars are still improving, their veterans provide stability, and Durant brings championship credibility. If Sheppard or Thompson makes another leap, Houston's ceiling only rises further. The Western Conference is loaded with competition, but the Rockets' blend of defense, depth, and elite talent ensures they will not be outclassed. They have every ingredient necessary to challenge for the throne, and perhaps to establish themselves as the NBA's next dynasty. What makes Houston's situation so compelling is that their roster balance is nearly unmatched across the league. In past eras, teams that added a superstar often had to sacrifice critical depth or future flexibility, leaving them vulnerable to injuries or matchup disadvantages. The Rockets avoided that trap by carefully layering their acquisitions. Durant may have cost them Jalen Green and draft capital, but the organization managed to keep Sengun, Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith Jr., and key veterans intact. Adding Dorian Finney-Smith and Clint Capela through team-friendly deals only reinforced this balance. In today's NBA, where depth is increasingly vital, Houston now has the rare ability to deploy multiple competitive lineups without dramatic drop-offs. This depth will be especially valuable in the grind of an 82-game season. Teams that rely heavily on one or two players often struggle to maintain consistency when stars sit out, but Houston can weather those stretches with ease. If Durant rests, Sengun can become the offensive focal point. If VanVleet misses time, Thompson can assume more ball-handling duties. If injuries strike the front court, Adams and Capela provide overlapping skill sets that ensure Houston never loses its interior edge. Even bench players like Jeff Green and Aaron Holiday can give meaningful minutes without disrupting chemistry. This stability across positions allows Udoka to manage workloads intelligently while still maintaining a high level of competitiveness every night. In just a few seasons, Houston has redefined its purpose and identity. From a floundering team with no direction, they have become a model of how to rebuild quickly, instill a culture, and strike decisively when the opportunity arises. The Rockets are not merely a team with potential anymore. They are a contender, fully aware of what it takes to win, armed with the pieces to make it happen, and hungry for the ultimate prize. The rest of the league should take notice. Houston has arrived, and they intend to stay.